If we sheltered a white man in our house, we should be arrested, and if we turned him over as a prisoner, he would certainly die, Sadao said. Now, Sadao said that if they sheltered the white man in their house, they would be treated as traitors and they would be arrested. And if they turned him over as a prisoner, he would certainly die because he was wounded and he was in a very bad condition. The kindest thing would be to put him back into the sea, Hannah said. So to this, Hannah said that the kindest thing would be to put him back in the sea. But neither of them moved. Neither of them had the courage to throw him back into the sea. They were staring with a curious repulsion upon the inert figure. They both were looking at the motionless man with curious dislike. What is he? Hannah whispered. There is something about him that looks American, Sadao said. Now, they were curious about this man, and Hannah asked, what is he? And Sadao said that he appears to have some similarity with Americans. He took up the battered cap. Yes, there almost gone was a faint lettering, a sailor. He said, from an American warship. He spelled it out, US Navy. The man was a prisoner of war. So, on the cap, there was in faint letters written a sailor and US Navy. So, he was a soldier from US Navy and he was a sailor. He has escaped, Hannah cried softly, and that is why he is wounded. Probably he was taken as prisoner and while trying to escape, he was shot. That is why he was wounded. In the back, Sadao agreed. They hesitated, looking at each other. Then Hannah said with resolution, come, are we able to put him back into the sea? So they were hesitating. They were looking at each other, not knowing what to do. They were in a dilemma. Dilemma is when you have two choices, but it is difficult to make a choice. Come, are we able to put him back into the sea? So firmly, Hannah asked this question, that are we able to put him back into the sea? If I am able, are you? Sadao asked. He said that if I am able, are you able to throw him back into the sea? No, Hannah said. But if you can do it alone, she said, but if you can do it alone, it was fine. She did not have the courage to throw him back into the sea. Sadao hesitated again. The strange thing is, he said, that if the man were whole, I would turn him over to the police without difficulty. So, he says that the strange thing is, if the man was whole, he was not wounded, he did not need a doctor's care, it would not have been a problem for Sadao to turn him over to the police as a prisoner of war. I care nothing for him. He makes it clear that he does not care anything for him. He has no feelings for him as such. He is my enemy. There is no doubt that he is his enemy. All Americans are my enemy. And he is only a common fellow. You see how foolish his face is? But since he is wounded, now because he was wounded and Sadao was a doctor, his duty towards this man changed, because doctors are supposed to take care of anyone who needs their help. You also cannot throw him back to the sea, Hannah said. Now Hannah said that even you cannot throw him back into the sea. Then there is only one thing to do. We must carry him into the house. So she says that because even you are not able to throw him into the sea, the only option that is left with us is to carry him to our house. But the servants, Sadao inquired. But they had servants, what would they say? Sadao asked. We must simply tell them that we intend to give him to the police. As indeed we must, Sadao. We must think of the children and your position. So she says that we will have to tell them that we intend to hand him over to the police. As soon as he is recovered, we are going to hand him over to the police. And that is what we should do, she tells Sadao, because they had to think about the children and the status, the position of Sadao. It would endanger all of us if we did not give this man over as a prisoner of war. They would endanger themselves because they would be treated as traitors if they did not hand over this man as prisoner of war. Certainly, Sadao agreed. I would not think of doing anything else. Sadao also thought the same, and he said that I would not think of doing anything else. Thus agreed, together they lifted the man. He was very light, like a fowl that had been half starved for a long time, until it is only feathers and skeleton. They both lifted the man, and the man was very light. His weight was very less. The author compares him to a fowl, and fowl is a hen or a cock, a hen, and that too which has been starved, not given enough food, and because of which it did not have any flesh, only feathers and skeleton was there. That means the weight of the man was very less. He was very light. So his arms hanging, they carried him up the steps and into the side door to the house.